Hi everybody, it's Patty, Rockstar Mom and Biscuit. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new, welcome. I want to apologize for a couple of things just right off of the bat. Number one, the mess that you see behind me. We are packing. I'm packing. We're leaving again in a few days to go on a Southern Caribbean cruise. It's sort of something that we do about this time of the year every year. Usually it's more into December. A little bit earlier this year, we're actually going to be gone over Thanksgiving, which is, we've never been gone for a holiday before, either Christmas or Thanksgiving. So this year we'll actually be at sea on Thanksgiving Day. That's the first thing is that mess back there. So, you know, when you pack, or at least Bagel or Biscuit is down here chewing on a cog on his back. But, you know, I pull out everything to pack. I have to decide what I'm going to wear, what's going to go together, what. I told Jim we need a designated closet that is only for cruising, where we just put everything there so that when we get ready to go again, we could just pull everything out, wear the same things, because we won't see the same people again. Maybe one day I'll get that organized. So first thing, to apologize for the mess. Second thing is this last video that I did a few days ago where I reviewed the Liabo mirror. I'm telling you, that mirror sold out in record time. There were lots of those mirrors. I mean, we thought plenty of mirrors. But what we didn't realize is that it was such a good deal. It's such a good mirror and such a good price with the discount that people truly were ordering multiples. And the people who saw that video first were the people who got to take advantage of it before it sold out. So if for no other reason, to subscribe and hit that bell. You never know when I may be reviewing something that you really want, and you wanted that item at that price, and you've missed it because you didn't see my video until, say, the next day or 2 days later or 3 days later. This one sold out within hours of my video going up. That's how many people. I think that speaks to what a good deal that was for you. I try so hard to make sure that everything I talk to you about, I know it's good. I know it's a good quality, and I know it's a good price for what you're getting. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Go ahead and hit that button right now, and make sure and hit that little bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. Now, this is going to be an October favorites, and I rarely do favorites videos, but there were just some things in October that I loved, and I kept going back to over and over and over again. And just a couple of things, and I'm going to make it really, really fast, because at the end of the video, I have two things. I have a story to tell you, and then I'm going to share just a little bit of footage from Jennifer and Riley's wedding. And you'll want to watch that. So many of you, I think, have been really interested in it. So I have just a little bit. I did a video a few days after the wedding of just pictures that I personally took and video that I personally took. And I put it together in a video form for Jennifer and Riley. And they may let me share that whole video. And if they do, then you'll get to see that too later on. But I'm just going to give you a few snippets today to give you some flavor. I have my list of favorites, and it looks like there's a lot on here, but truly there's not. The first thing that I really want to tell you about is something that I've wanted to talk to you about since I've had my channel, and I just never did, because I thought, why would anyone want to hear about my toothbrush? But something happened to me, and the company, as usual, came through for me. And you know, I just felt like I had to tell you about it. But let me tell you what happened. As soon as the mandatory evacuation came for Hurricane Michael, it came on Monday around the middle of the day, if I remember correctly. And we knew for this one, because we had been watching it, we were definitely going to evacuate. And Jim made us a reservation in Andalusia, Alabama, at a little motel for Tuesday. The mandatory evacuation was for Tuesday. The hurricane was due to hit on Wednesday. Well, this is Monday around lunchtime, and so we started putting a few things together, and about 3 or 4 o'clock Monday afternoon, I said, you know, Jim, it's going to be a madhouse trying to get out of this area tomorrow. I said, if we can get a room, why don't we just go a day early and beat the traffic? He said, great. We threw everything in our bags to go. We get to the little motel where we were staying. We were able to come in a day early where he had booked. But we got there and of course unpacked everything. The hurricane happened, and that next day we decided we wanted to get closer to home. And so Jim was able to get us a room over in Destin, which is about 50 miles west of us. That way we would be closer when we were able to get into this area. So as soon as we got to Destin on Friday morning, I was unpacking and I realized that I did not have my toothbrush. I checked my bags, I checked Jim's bag, I checked Bagel's bag, went back out and looked in the car. My toothbrush was nowhere to be found. I called the hotel in Andalusia immediately, and she said, well, it hasn't been turned in yet. Call back tomorrow. We'll be on the lookout for it. Call back in tomorrow. I called in the next day. No, they had not found it. I called the next day. No, they had not found it. So in the meantime, I had gone to, and by the way, I know I left my toothbrush at that hotel. It's a sonic toothbrush, so I don't know what anyone who might want to keep it would think they would do with it. I didn't have the charger with me, so they didn't have the charger, and they wouldn't have a new brush head for it. But anyway, it was gone. I went to the drugstore and just bought a regular toothbrush. And I had been using this particular sonic toothbrush for 10 years. I went back and looked, 10 years. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I bought a soft bristled toothbrush. And when I went to brush my teeth, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was horrible. I just couldn't believe the difference in a manual toothbrush and a sonic toothbrush. So I thought, well, this is not going to work. I've been seeing those little spin type brushes advertised, so I went back to the store and I shopped those, bought one that I thought I would like. I came back, I tried it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So let me show you the toothbrush that I've been using for 10 years and talk to you a little bit about customer service. This is not that toothbrush that you're used to seeing advertised all the time, the sonic toothbrush that you see in your dentist office. You basically see it everywhere. This is called the Cybersonic, and this is what it looks like. And it has the Cybersonic name on it right there. This toothbrush, I think I bought it originally on either Home Shopping or QVC, and I sort of think it was Home Shopping. But what they did, and one of the things that I liked about it, because at that point in time I had already looked at that other toothbrush and it was just so expensive. Not only was this a really good price, they had some really good claims on it. It was then, and it still is, and you can read on their website, It does more pulses per second than any other sonic toothbrush today, back then and today. But as I said, the brush heads are so expensive, and you have to replace the brush head, or you're supposed to. It's recommended every 3 months. So they had this little program. Number one, they had a great price on the toothbrush, on the system itself. But number two, if you signed up for their little brush replacement program, every 3 months they would send you just the brush head. Actually, they send you two. And at the time, I think it was a little bit over $5. You only paid the shipping. You gave them your credit card, and every 3 months they would just bill your credit card and send it to you automatically. Well, they were sending me two. I was replacing it every 3 months. You can imagine how many brush heads I have to this day, because I've never not gone with that program. So I bought this. I went back and looked, and I bought it in 2008. So I've had it 10 years. About 5 years ago, I was using my brush one day, brushing my teeth, and I realized that the base right here was getting a little bit yellow. And then I looked at the actual charging base, and it was yellow also, or getting yellow. So I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if that's a fire hazard. And I called the toll-free number and told them what it was doing and asked if it was a fire hazard. What should I do? And she said, well, I don't think it is a fire hazard, but you know, you're a part of that little program where we send you the toothbrushes all the time, and that means you have a warranty on the toothbrush. So since it's the base and the handle, we're just going to send you a brand new base and handle. And by the way, this is the Cybersonic 3. They make different models, the Cybersonic 3. So they sent me out immediately a new brush and a new charging base, or a new handle and a new charging brace. I paid the shipping. That was it. Everything is hunky-dory. I use this 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, get great dental checkups. As a matter of fact, since I started using this 10 years ago, I have changed dentists 3 times because we physically moved. And all 3 times my new dentist knew that I used a sonic toothbrush. When you use a sonic toothbrush, for those of you who have never used one, it's like getting your teeth cleaned at the dentist every single day. You know how when you rub your tongue over your teeth after you've had your teeth cleaned at the dentist, how wonderful they feel? That's the way your teeth feel every single day when you use a sonic toothbrush. So, that 5 years ago, they replaced the whole system, basically. Then, and I paid only a small shipping and handling fee, just really a few dollars. Then, about 6 months ago, this is the on-off button, and it literally popped out. And I tried to pop it back in, and it wouldn't stay, but the button was still in there, so I could press that button and make it work. And this, by the way, is on a timer. It beeps every 60 seconds, every minute, so that you know how long you're brushing. So the button popped out. Even though I could still use it, I called them, told them what had happened. They said, well, she said, is your base fine? And I said, yeah, my charging base is fine. She said, we'll send you a new handle. We'll just charge you a small shipping and handling fee. And they did, got it in. So when this happened, when I left my toothbrush in Andalusia, I called them. And the reason I called them about it was because not for them to replace my brush, because obviously this was my fault. I had left that brush in Andalusia. But they have this program that I've known about, but I've never used it, where if you refer someone to them and they buy this particular toothbrush, they get a 50% discount off on that toothbrush if they use your code. So I thought, you know, since I've been a customer for all these years, maybe they'll let me use my own code and I can get a new brush, because all I really needed was the handle. I can get a new handle for half price. So that was my intent. In addition to the person getting the brush for 50% off, I would get a check for $10 for every person who purchased the toothbrush using my code. So again, I just never talked to y'all about it. But when I called them the other day and told them what had happened, that I had left it was my fault. All I really wanted to do was use my discount code, if they would give it to me again, so that I could purchase a new brush at half price. She put me on hold and she came back and she said, you know what, we're just going to send you a new handle free. You've got your base, you've got your brushes, we're just going to send it to you free. And because of your circumstances, being in Hurricane Michael, we're going to pay the shipping and handling. And it's on its way out to you. And I had it in just a couple of days. Now, that is customer service at its finest. They don't know me from Adam. They have no idea who I am. But I started thinking about this brush, and the reason I wanted to tell you about it, because and I've traveled all over the world with this brush. It goes everywhere with me. But I think the real reason I wanted to tell you about it was for two reasons. Number one, so that you can get one if you would like one after you read all the information. And I would want you to compare both, that other brush and this one. Compare them, go online and look at it. Read all the statistics, read all the data. You make up your mind about it. But you could use my discount code if you decide you want it and get the 50% off. But that $10, many of you know that I worked help right after the hurricane, helping give out food and supplies, cleaning supplies and Pampers, and because there's thousands of people who are right here who are affected by Hurricane Michael. And one of the things, when they would come up to me, I would say, okay, let's start off with what you really need today. And generally it would be Pampers, or it might be food. We have no food, no grocery stores are open. It might be cleaning supplies. Do you have Clorox? So I would gather everything up they needed, and then I would always say, what about a toothbrush? And it was like, oh my gosh, yes, our toothbrushes are gone. I would ask, how many people are in your family? They'd tell me, and I would grab a handful of toothbrushes and toothpaste for them. It was something that people forgot until you mentioned it, and then it became very important to them. So what I thought I would do is, for every person who buys one of these toothbrushes using my code, and I get the $10, I will donate that $10, not necessarily for toothbrushes, because trust me, they were donated a lot of toothbrushes over there. So not for toothbrushes, but there are still so many people who are displaced, who still don't have a place to stay. The shelters still have thousands of beds that are occupied every night. They just need so much there, so much. I thought what I would do with that $10 is just make that donation to one of the relief efforts there to help people who are still so much in need. So that's what I'll do with that $10 that Cybersonic sends me. It I bought this original one myself. I've participated every 3 months for 10 years. They have taken that it was a little over $5, now it's a little over $9. Of course, postage, shipping and handling has gone up for these brushes. I have a drawer full of these brushes. This is how they come, in a little envelope. And by the way, there is a large brush and a small brush. Small brush would be great for children. I have a small mouth, and a lot of times I use the small one. I switch back and forth, but I use the large one and the small one. Great toothbrush. I wouldn't steer you wrong on that. Number two, I've evacuated. Well, let me take it back. Yeah, I've evacuated and been in a motel for a week and a half. before we could get back in and have water and electricity. I have been to New Orleans. I have been to Arkansas for Jennifer and Riley's wedding, and my makeup has been real low on my list of important things going on in my life, but I wanted to look good. So I had purchased this Z palette, this from Ulta, and I put it together back a month and a half or so ago, and I've been using this. And let me show you what's in it. And this is all I've used. And if you saw the Get Ready With Me video the other day, you know that you probably got a little bit of this. But I have two of my light colors of shadows. The reason I have two, they're the same color. This one is the Ulta brand, and it's Coconut 7CA. And I've hit pan big time on this. They're magnetic. The Z palette is magnetic. So this is just a new one, because I'm taking this on the cruise with me. And then this other one is, and by the way, these Z palettes come in different sizes. This is from Coastal Scents, and it's called Profound Plum. It's that purple color that I love. So you see they're on magnets. Now, the other thing that I have in here, and it's not on a magnet, this is my Rockateur. And Rockateur is my favorite all-time blush by Benefit. And, yeah, it's by Benefit. And I have hit pan big time on this. What I did is I cut that box off of it. And this is what I got. And the Z palette comes with a supply of magnets. If you have something that you want to put in here that is not magnetized, you can glue it on the back so that it will stick. Well, this fits perfectly in the Z palette. It's just the perfect height. And because I've hit pan and I'm getting ready to replace this, it's on my list to buy, and I will cut the box off of that one also and put it in here. I don't have it on a magnet because it's just temporary. But this is what I have been using, and it's been perfect. I haven't needed anything else. So, and I mentioned a Z palette, I think, in the last video, and had a couple of people who really didn't understand the premise of a Z palette and depotting products. So there are so many YouTube videos. Just type that into the search engine of YouTube. I think those are the only two real favorites that I wanted to talk to you about. But I want to tell you a little story. We got to Andalusia on Monday night before Michael. It was dark. Jim pulled up under the canopy. I ran in, got us checked in, got our keys, and got back in the car. He pulls around to where we think the room is, and the room numbers on the hotel rooms, the motel rooms, were about this big. They were tiny. There was no way you could see them. So finally, I said, Jim, stop the car, let me get out. I'll go look and read numbers and find our room, and that's what I did. So the next day, I was out walking Biscuit, and a van pulled by, just creeping the way we were, and there were two women, and of course they had their necks craned looking at numbers. So I did that old thing like this to indicate to roll your window down, and the driver rolled her window down, and she said, and I said, are you by chance looking for your room number? And she said, yes. And I said, I know, we did the same thing last night. I said, what room number are you looking for? And she told me, and I said, oh, you're right a couple of doors down from us. So she thanked me, and she rolled her window back up, and then almost immediately she rolled her window back down, and she said, would you come here a minute? And she was, not far from me, maybe 20 feet. And when I walked over to her, she handed me a card. And I looked at it, and it was an eye. And I said, well, thank you. And I saw the eye, and I immediately thought, oh, she's a makeup artist, she's a cosmetologist, she's a cosmetologist, she's a esthetician, maybe she just sells a brand of makeup. So I just stuck it down. I said, thank you, and I stuck it down in my pocket. And she went on to park, and I went on with Biscuit. And I got down all the way to the end of the building, and I thought, let me see what's on that card. So I pulled it out of my pocket, and this is what the card says. And I'm going to read it. In bold letters, it says, I love you. And then I just wanted you, with a capital Y, to know. And underneath that, remember, we are one, with a capital O. And then in small letters at the very bottom, it says, pass it on. I love you. I just wanted you to know. Remember, we are one. Pass it on. I stood there for a minute, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is a total stranger telling me that they loved me. Because I was kind to them. At least that's what I felt like at that moment. I was doing what I always ask you guys to do, to be kind. And she says, I love you. I just wanted you to know. So I glanced up, and they were out of the van, and they were unloading their belongings, and I walked back up there, and I said, you know, I just really looked at your card, and I wanted to ask you about it. I said, first of all, and she smiled real big, and I said, thank you, I love you too. And she grinned even bigger, and I said, where did you get this? And she said, I made them. I just had the idea, and I made them. I said, you know, aside from you telling me that you loved me and you really wanted me to know, something that really stood out to me was you said, remember, we are one. And I said, I've talked to people about that before. The fact that I truly believe we are all the very same person. And she said, I believe that. I said, very few people that I've talked to really can see it, or understand it, or even know what I'm saying. I said, but personally, I believe we're all that speck up in the heavens. We're a tiny speck. And God, the universe, says, oh, I'm going to teeny part of that speck, and I'm going to send it down to Earth, and it's going to be Patty. It's almost like we're a piece of the pie. She said, that's exactly what I believe. And we had the conversation that, you know, when babies are born, they are these perfect, sweet little beings. They aren't born hating. They're little sponges. They absorb everything that is around them. They learn to love, but they can also learn to hate. Hate is not a behavior that is born with us. So, I told her, I said, you know, I want these cards. I said, I see on the back they came from Vistaprint. She said, well, you're free to use it. You're free to make the exact same card, or you can, if you want to change it in any way, you can. You do what you want to do. And I said, well, thank you. And I started to walk off, and she said, wait a minute. And she reached in the van, and she gave me a small handful of them. I mean, just a little stack. And she said, until you can get yours made, I'll give you some. And I thanked her. And I will tell you that I had them made, but I didn't like them. This design, this eye, is no longer available. But I picked something that I thought would look good, and I didn't like them. And at Vistaprint, they're so cheap, you know. So I'm waiting for some new ones to get in. But in another video, I'm going to tell you a wonderful story, something that happened to me, and again, it had to do with kindness. But I gave away some of those cards in that story. And you know, her name is on here nowhere. There's no company name. There's nothing. Just Vistaprints on the back. I think that's part of what makes it so neat. I love you. I just wanted you to know. Remember, we're one. Pass it on. With that, I want to thank you for watching. Know that I love you. Go out and be kind today. Just be kind. You never know when you can change someone's day. Another quick little story. I just happened to think about it. A little add-on. I think a lot of you know that I'm getting ready to be a grandmommy again. Jim's son in D.C. and his wife are pregnant, and they're due in early December. And we know that this one is going to be a little boy. And his wife, our daughter-in-law, wrote us recently and asked us if we would write him a card and just give him, just say anything, whether it's a life lesson or something we would want him to know about us, or so that she can put them in a book, and then as a baby and a toddler, she can read the cards to him from time to time. And as he starts to mature and he can read for himself and become a preteen and a teen and adult, he will have them to read on his own. And hopefully he'll learn a lot about the family, and he'll learn a lot about us. I think that's a great idea. So this is what I wrote. His name. I said, if I could tell you anything, it would be to just be kind. Every single day of your life, just be kind. Be kind to all those you love, but be even kinder to those you don't love. Smile at everyone, even strangers. You never know when someone is having a bad day, and you just might be the one person who makes their day better. And I wrote a couple of little things that were personal, and I signed it Grandmommy. So be kind. Now, stay tuned for Jennifer and Riley's wedding.
I lose my breath whenever I see you. You stole my heart, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon needs the sun, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow
In getting the speech for today started, I had to first start with a question. So I asked the happy couple, just how was it that they knew? How do you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, no questions, that this is the person you want to spend the rest of your life with? And as trite and improbable as love at first sight may seem, for Jen, so thank you. And with that, to get this party started, the dads would now like to get religious. So let's bring up the Davids.
That's you, Dad.
But seriously, I would like to pray to our Lord. If you would, bow your head, please. Our Heavenly Father, we're just so grateful.
Well, as you know, beautiful Riley, that you and I together share our Jewish heritage.
With the power vested in me by the internet and the state of Arkansas, I now pronounce you wifed up.
And that's simply to say that when the two of you wake up each morning together and you're facing the day, the most that you wish for in your marriage that day and every day is the least that you receive from it. Jennifer, Riley, congratulations to you.
To blush every time I ask you out. Baby, you don't have to blush every time I ask you out. Might as well get used to it, baby. It's what my love is all about. Thank me every time I bring you things. Might be flowers or chocolate or even a diamond ring. I can tell what I need to know from the way you hold me tight, from the way you hug and kiss me all through the night. You don't have to say yes when I fall down on one knee. When I fall down on one knee, but I'll be the happiest man alive if you make an honest man out of me. Yes, indeed.